Okay, we're back. Welcome. Welcome, everyone, again to the Peak Wellness Hour brought to you by Peak Homecare Associates. I am Angelina Long here with the founder and CEO of Peak Homecare Associates, Edith. We are so glad to be here with you all. Let me know if you all can hear us okay. I'm going to put my phone on mute and see what it sounds like. Hang on. Okay. So it sounds good over here on my end. Okay. So Queen Kathy said it sounds good. So awesome. Welcome, everyone. We're back. It's the last Saturday of the month of July. So we missed the last couple weeks. Life has happened. We've been busy, but we have certainly missed you all. And we are certainly glad to be here. Of course, we were a little delayed. We did have a great conversation, Edith and I, before we got on. So every time we get together, we always chit chat. And so we're back here with you all. So excited to share more new information, positive information with you all regarding the world of healthcare and living and all that good jazz. So, Queen Edith.
Hello, this is Peak Wellness Hour. It's a beautiful Saturday out there. I think where I live, the highest we'll get to is probably the late 80s, which is better than the 90s. So yay. Well, this is Peak Wellness Hour, and it's brought to you by Peak Home Care Associates, located in, of course, the state of Indiana, Hamilton County, Noblesville. Our offices are in Noblesville, Indiana, but we service the general Indianapolis area. So it's exciting to come your way. It doesn't mean that our life is limited to Indiana. There may be things specific to Indiana, but generally this affects every single one of us, irrespective of where we live. There's seniors everywhere, and there are things that apply everywhere. So please don't say because we're in Indiana, you will not. Listen, share this video, invite a friend, invite a family. You never know who might need this information. Queen, I'll let you continue before I say maybe I should say. See, the more I've been in this industry, the more I find out that there's a lot people don't know, families don't know. We take it for granted that because we know, everybody knows, but families don't know until they're faced with the situation of having an adult who needs extra help. And then they become worried and confused and conflicted as to what is the right thing to do, what is the best way to take care of our mom and our dad. And because of that, they listen to a lot of people from different or excuse me, people representing different industries, different aspects of the industry, and they get a lot of conflicting information. They don't know what to do. I've taken a lot for granted. I assume everybody knows, but everybody doesn't know. So invite somebody because they don't know, and they're trying to figure it out. Queen.
I certainly agree with that. And like you said, we service primarily seniors. Peak Home Care Associates also services individuals with disabilities, developmental disabilities. So just keep that in mind as well. But as we're talking about seniors and talking about our elders, our loved ones that we care about, I want us all to remember as well that we're all aging. Right. And so the information that we're giving you, we want you to impart that into your own lives as we get older. Again, I'm 42 years old. 60 will come around before I know it. When I was 20, 40 came around before I knew it, so we want to instill information with you all that can benefit you as well. So like I know for today, we're talking about finding security in senior living. And we discussed this yesterday, and we always, like we said, we want to hear from you. Our information to contact us is on the screen, but we would love to hear from you all as far as things that you want to talk about, even if you have input that you want to share. We want to hear from you. We don't know it all. We just know what we know, and we want to share the information. So just keep that in mind. We're all going through. So with this conversation, the security and senior living, this idea came from my queen mother. Okay. When I asked her some ideas, just talking, she's also in the healthcare field as a medical assistant. So we have a lot of healthcare people that have thoughts and ideas. We want to hear from all of you, whatever your background is. We want to hear from you, and get some thoughts from you and get some feedback. So this conversation with the security and senior living, we're talking about the cost of living, making provisions to where we're not in a rut if we need services as seniors, and we have options and understanding, like Queen Edith said. So with this, we were talking about aging in place. My mother and I were talking about aging in place, and just talking about how, a lot of, I don't know if you all know what that means. In a facility, in communities, senior communities, aging in place is where, say, for instance, you live in an independent portion of a facility. Okay, you can get along well. You can do your own thing. You just want to live in a senior community. Well, now something has occurred where you need more care. You need assistance from staff, right, and from someone else in the healthcare field. So now they may move you to assisted living, where you get a little more help. Maybe they help you with your medications, certain reminders, just things like that. Okay, so now you've gone from independent living to assisted living. So now you need more help. A lot of facilities, especially that have memory care or dementia care units, when people need more assistance coming from assisted living, whether you have a diagnosis of dementia or not, a lot of facilities will move these people into a dementia unit because it's more hands-on. It's more critical care, instead of moving them out of the community into a long-term care facility, which is totally different. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. And the big thing here is understanding what that looks like, understanding the cost of it. That's what I mean by security, having security, making sure you have the funds. Grand Rising, Queen Betty. Grand Rising to my Queen Mother, Rhonda Thomas. Thank you all for joining. Anyone else that's listening. So we want you all to think about your finances, thinking about planning ahead. Okay. So that we're not in a rut. So with Peak Home Care Associates, of course we do private pay, but we also do veterans, what's it called? Not
VA.
veterans assistance, but where if you have VA benefits, where they pay for long-term care services, for home care services.
Right.
We do long-term care insurance. A lot of people don't know what long-term care insurance is. A lot of people don't have long-term care insurance. And that is where you, like any other insurance, you pay on it monthly. So if something happens where you need services in a facility, that money is there to cover that. The issue with all this is people that have money, when you're paying out of pocket, right? It adds up. So you might have a millionaire, or somebody that's well off financially, that has retirement funds. But if you think about it, if you are paying, $2,000 to $5,000 a month to live somewhere, and that's just room and board, right? It can be pretty costly. So we want to understand that, you might have the resources now, but what does it look like if you have enough money to last you for the next 20 years, but you live 30 more years? Or, you live 10 more years than that, what does that look like? Do you have the funds? Do you have the resources? Because a lot of times we don't realize where, with Medicaid, for instance, Queen Edith and I were talking about Medicaid. Medicaid is something where you have to have nothing by law, by procedure, policy and procedure. You cannot have more than $500 in assets. So if my mother has a home that we grew up in, She passed it down to us, but it's her home, or she has a vehicle, nice vehicle, she has assets, she has stocks and bonds and investments, all those things, but those things are intended for her children. And now she needs care. We can't afford $5,000 a month, so we'll go with what we can. So now she needs Medicaid. So everything she has, the house has to go, the cars have to go, all those things. So we really need to be thinking about those things. And then when you do have benefits like that, the facilities will take your money. A lot of times they'll take all that money, your Social Security, your benefits, and they'll leave you with $50 a month. And if you have more than that, like say I put, money on my mom's account, for getting her hair done, or, going out to outings, if you have more money than you should in that account, it's called a spend down. So now you have to spend that money down because you can only have so much money in that account in a facility. So now I have to get her hair done. Now I have to go, take her out to, just spending that money down. So my point is, we don't want to be tied down and bound in our senior years because we haven't planned correctly. And a lot of us just don't know how to do that. So that's what we're talking about today. It's just having that discussion on what that looks like and the importance of planning ahead and being smart about it. So I'll end my plan there. Queen.
Wow, Queen, you talked about a lot of important things. You talk about in order to get Medicaid benefits, and if you don't know what Medicaid is what, for example, peak home care is a non-medical home care. Medicaid is state-based. Let me make it simple. Peak,
Mm-hmm.
peak home care, Medicaid is state-based, and a lot of the time if you're using a non-medical home care service, then Medicaid can come in and help or pay for your care. Maybe all the time you need or some hours. Some will say, oh, you need 6 hours a day. Some will say you need 2 hours a day. So they'll pay for that. If you need more, then you have to come up with that extra more, or you have to prove beyond any doubt that you actually need it before they pay for it. And that only non-medical home care agencies are able to get that service. So you have to use a home care service. Medicaid is state based. Okay, Medicare is federal. So that's the explanation. It took me a long time before I was able to figure out Medicare and Medicaid what the difference is. Medicare is for medical, Medicaid is non-medical home care. So just to put clarity on that. And something I want to touch base on is assisted living. Even in assisted living, there are tiers depending on what you need. So if you need them to do your medication, just your medication, you don't need that extra help so much, then that's fine. There's a level you pay. And then if you need to be checked on every 2 hours, every 3 hours, it's another tier. And I think they have up to 4 or more tiers. And when you get to the top of the tier, and you may, like you said, you may not have dementia, you may not have anything, but maybe you need to go to the bathroom more often than usual. And every hour somebody has come into your room and take you to the bathroom. That's considered needing more. That's considered needing more hands on and the system. And we need to remember one thing that I'm learning a lot is that we're dealing with systems. So sometimes you go to an
Mm-hmm.
office and the receptionist or you're on the phone with somebody and you're yelling at them. It's not them, it's the system. We can't. They have no control. They're doing their job. They have no control. So we're dealing with systems. So the system determines that you need more care because we have to check on you every hour. You constantly going into the bathroom every hour. And so if you ring your bell and nobody's showing up in the hour or 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then you really gotta go. And though a lot of
Up,
seniors
Queen.
are wearing disposable underwears, once they are aware, they are not incontinent, so they want to go. So they're not going to just sit there and say, "Oh, nobody is coming, so I'm going to pee in my disposable underwear." And those are some of the things that are causing falls. causing a lot more falls than usual. So guess
Mm-hmm.
what? Then you have to be moved into memory care. You remember that your environment will end up impacting you. Memory care is usually for our seniors who have issues with their memory, diagnosed with, a certain level of dementia where they can't function. So it's more hands-on. And for me, even that more hands-on is questionable. You understand what I'm saying? But at least they will come in every 2 hours and
Mm-hmm.
toilet you. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
more hands-on. So you'll be pushed into an environment that you're not ready for. So guess what happens? Over to
Yeah.
you.
That's true. Statistics have shown that when people are misplaced, they decline quicker, especially if you are not demented, and you're on that unit. Your health declines quicker. Your lifespan is shortened. Right, a lot of that has to do with depression, stress. There's just different things. Loss of independence. So we have to think about those things when we're, like she said, it's a system. I knew a lady, she was frustrated. She was on assisted living. Her husband was on memory care. And she had an issue because he was at meal times, he was sticking a fork into the outlet, and she saw that and she reported it. Okay. And they said they would get it taken care of, and they delayed it. Right, I don't know what was going on. I don't know if they were short staffed, they were busy, they just forgot. I don't know. But it got to where, I mean, she's independent, she's actually a retired nurse. Okay, so it got where she was frustrated with it, and she went to the office and addressed it again. What's going on? Well, we're on it, we're gonna fix it. And she cursed at him, she used the F-bomb. And she's like, F, fudge. And because of that, they deemed her as having behaviors. Because she had behaviors, she was charged, I think she said, an extra $150 a month for behaviors, because she spoke her mind. You see where you're infringing on people's rights and freedoms. You have healthcare providers that are at work, that are cursing, that are loud, that are belligerent. But this woman felt like she was not heard as a patient, as a client, and dropped the F-bomb. And now she's paying $150 more. Her family had to get involved and reverse that after a few months. And it was a struggle. So now just things like that, where you're paying extra money. Again, these facilities is room and board. So if you need extra supplements, I think for medication passes, one facility, it was like $50 a med pass. So if you have medications 3 times a day, that's $150 extra you're paying. If you are someone that doesn't like to socialize and eat in a group setting with other people, and you want your meals in your room because that's what you're accustomed to at home, they charge you to bring your meals to you. I mean, it's like some places are like $10, a delivery.
Yep.
That's
Even if
insane.
you're right down the
That is
hallway, like
why Home
5 steps
Care
away.
Associates is in place. That's why we are. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, and I will
And like
add
she said, it's a
this that,
system because, I mean, the staff's not getting. Go ahead. Go
sorry,
ahead, Queen.
listen, finish what you were saying.
No, go ahead, please.
I was going to add that
No, I mean, mhm.
I was going to add that a lot of our clients at this point are in facilities. Okay, they are in facilities. So you have the serve you live in a facility paying for the room and board, and you're also bringing in home care, private care. So private care in a facility is somebody outside of their system coming in to provide service for their residents. Okay, and so we are in there helping some of the residents. And the conversation today is about how do we prepare for these situations. Okay, yesterday Queen Angelina and I were talking, and one of the things we thought about was that in this day and age, when you're buying a house or you're getting a house, a lot of people will let their parent live in facilities because maybe I'm jumping the gun. They probably don't want caregivers coming into their home. It's too intrusive for them. Like, they need their privacy. So our generation, generations after us, and even some generations before us can consider getting an outhouse or what we call the mother-in-law suite. So when push comes to shove, mom can live there. She can still have home care without having too many people coming into the main house, so you can still have your privacy and she can still have her privacy with her caregivers, because I don't think it's going to get any better.
No, it's not. Queen Kathy said, I was so impressed with my family taking such excellent care of my aunt at home. Not everyone gets that love and attention. So that's
That is
something else that
true.
Queen Edith and I were talking about. And again, we never like to be divisive with things, but life is just life, and that we have to keep it real. So her and I were talking yesterday about cultural cultural things. What's going on? Black Love 17, Queen Lynn, welcome. We were talking about what was I saying? I was reading
Culture,
these messages. Oh,
culture, the
cultural
role
things. We were talking about um yeah, so when like Kathy just said taking care of her aunt. So we think about our parents mainly, even our grandparents. We don't think about extended family that needs help, and it does take a whole village to raise and provide for families. It takes all of us together, and you just do your part where you can. But I know with Queen Edith and I, we were talking with Western civilization, United States, versus where she's from in Ghana. There's a different expectation. Here, it's like we don't have the expectation or the wherewithal to take care of our seniors, our elders, our guides, and they've done it for years for us. They brought us up, and there's like no sense of responsibility here in the United States, where everywhere it seems like a lot of other countries, that's what is expected. It's part of life. It's just like you raise your children, you care for your elders, and we're not doing that here, and it's a serious issue. Um, Queen Lynn said, yes, I'm trying to get my family to stay together, but no one wants to listen to me. You know what though? But I'll say this. A lot of people when
wow,
Eve was talking about
that is
the in-law quarters and
interesting.
things like that, let's just be honest. What's that? What about the compound or what? What's
Queen, do you
interesting?
know, do you know what compound living is?
I do. So if y'all can see that, it says I've been wanting a compound living with my entire family since I was 10. I want the same thing because here's my thing. I don't want to live with all my family. We have to learn how to live together. But um, if we all had that space for our family, that land for our family, that is so important. So I think it's an awesome idea to be intentional and proactive when it comes to how, like she said, how we buy our houses, what we invest in, even with us as individuals. Um, Grand Rising Queen Essie, um, even with us, in our 40s, 50s, I don't want a house where I have to go up and down the stairs like that. As I get older, we have to think about these things. We do have people like myself. I want to buy a house. I haven't bought one yet. So at 42, my husband's a few years older than me. I don't want somewhere where I have to struggle and have to be moved because I can't handle it. I know a lot of seniors that have huge houses and they actually live downstairs in their living rooms, in their family room area because they can't get upstairs. And that's an issue that now you have hoarding, you have, people can't do things on their own. So we have to think about those things. Everybody doesn't want to deal with their parents like that. And it's sad, but it's true. In the news, not to divert from the subject, but in the news here recently, there was a young man, I think 18 years old, that killed his whole family, killed 15 people, including his parents, his siblings, family, killed everybody. So people don't always care about family like that. There's something wrong with how we think, and we've got to do better. We're all going to get older. We like to think that we're not going to wind up in a facility, but we don't know that. Nobody ever thinks they would, So we have to think about that. That's where, again, like home care comes in place. When we talk about those things, it's important because, like she said, why would you pay thousands of dollars a month to live somewhere and you still had to go out of pocket for home care? And so, how? Let me explain to you how that works. If you are in a facility and they cannot manage you, you can either pay for extra care or you have to leave. So what do? And if you understand what it's like moving people around, especially demented people, it can ruin your whole livelihood, mentally, psychologically, emotionally. So we have to think about those things. We're moving our elders. Now you've gone from living in this house to an apartment to a 1-bedroom space to a,
What
a shared space. All
what
your
that
stuff is
does
gone.
to them psychologically is terrible. It's terrible.
Hmm. It
It's
is.
terrible.
It is. And we don't think about those things when you're moving people around. I hear people say all the time, like they're trying to figure out what they can keep, what they have to give away. And there are things where, things that are precious and priceless to our seniors that we don't care about, certain little trinkets and certain things that we don't care about. So who do I give my belongings to, my treasures to? And you want to hold on to these things because it's what made up your whole life. Those are very difficult things. Um, Black Love said, I'm reading some of these messages. I'm looking forward to living in the woods. I hear you. I hear you. Um, Queen Essie said, you have to downsize. Downsizing is hard. It's hard when everything that's important to you is just gone. So planning is so important. Go ahead.
Planning. Yeah, plan. You said it, planning. Because if you wait too late to downsize, then it becomes even more traumatic. If that's a word to use, it becomes more difficult. Okay, but as we grow older, we should learn to downsize ourselves. You can't wait till I have to move to you want to move me, or I have to move to a 1 bedroom before you let me leave my 5 bedroom mansion, where I know where everything is. Even if I'm blind, I can go through the house, except that maybe the stairs will pose a danger, or I'm using a walker and I can't go to every corner of the house, but I know my house. Why can't we downsize with a 1 level, even if it's a 2 bedroom condo? So if they need to have a caregiver to stay overnight, there's provision for them. Okay, so I think that we wait till it's too late. We don't plan. The key word is planning. We don't plan ahead of time. I think I'm probably going to be like this all my life. And I know I'm not going to be like this, but if we can plan ahead, because and this is not judgmental or anything. It's just stating the fact that the culture of this Western world, this culture of America, is individualistic. Okay, me, my husband, and my children, me, my wife, and my children. I'll support my mom if she needs to, but this is my family. Whereas where I come from, I'm a naturalized American citizen, but I still have a culture from my growing up years, and it's everybody. Like my on my all of them. So one of my grandparents' side, there is a house that my grandfather built. That's where we congregate as a family. for family gatherings. Some family members live there. That's where we congregate. I remember when my father came on retirement, he wanted to live in his father's house and he has his own place in the father's house. Eventually, my mother said, no, come home and let me take care of you. But then his nephews, his nieces, his sisters who were there, every morning when they wake up, there's food, they'll bring him food. Okay, my mother lived alone after my father passed away in their own house. This is where we, their children, also congregate now, which is more like a family compound house. Okay, if I lived in Ghana and I'm having gone through a hard time, I can go move to my parents' house. And I remember the neighbors, when they wake up, they'll come and say, Grandma, I'm going to the market. What do you need? Every one of them will check in on her. She was alone, but she was never alone. They were looking out for her. They were stay in the house without her own children being there, and yet the community came together to take care of her. When my dad was there, my dad was sick. The community helped take care of him. So it's a whole different culture. I don't know my neighbor's name. No matter how many times I've said hello to her, sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't respond. I don't know them like that. There's no way I will live in Ghana and not know my neighbor's name, and they not really knowing my business to a certain extent. So our culture here is very individualistic. So we have to be very intentional about what we want the future to look like, and it involves money, planning, and money. I've seen a lot of families with children who are well to, they have huge homes. If there was just that little place for mom, that little place for dad, you could avoid that extra $5,000, $6,000, and all the visits and all the headaches that come with dealing with sometimes these huge corporations who own these facilities. And remember, it's not the management in there, it's the corporation. It's who is behind the scenes or going, giving the instructions. That's what we're dealing with.
You know what? I'm gonna share some with you all real quick. Do you all know that most owners of these senior facilities have no kind of healthcare background at all? Most of them are investors. They are shareholders. They are business individuals. No experience at all. And that just burns my buns. It's very interesting how you can have, especially men, it's a lot of men that run these businesses that regulate how you give care to individuals, and you have no idea what that looks like and what that entails. So when you're telling somebody that you have, as one person, you have, as a nurse, you have 30 patients. As a CNA, you have 15 patients. And if something happens to those people or they're neglected, that's on you. I don't know if you all remember some years ago, American seniors communities were sued. They were in the news for fraudulent activity, misappropriating funds. Okay, and they were blasted, but they are actually owned by investors, and these investors, I forgot what I'm gonna look it up. I forgot what they're called, but this group, they own grocery stores, they own car lots, they own all kinds of things, right? So and they were never blasted in the news. You never even heard of them in the news. So we have to think about those things when we're looking at where we're putting our loved ones. I always say that a facility, a business, any kind of business, is only as good as their workers, their team. So if I love this building, this facility, and it's awesome, and the marketer said they'll give me this and give me that for my loved one. What happens when they're gone? The morale changes. So we have to be diligent and advocates for our loved ones at all times. I was looking at, and if you all look in the chat, there's an article that I posted. It's a long little thing, a long little link you can click on, but it's talking about the difference between a living trust and a living will. And I'm gonna read a couple things really quickly for all you, just to give you some understanding. So with the living trust, they're more protected over a living will. You can't really contest a living trust. So if I leave all my stuff to Edith, then that's just what it is, period, with the living trust. A living will, you can argue. So if I leave all my stuff to Edith, mine's going to be like, hold on. With the living will, you can be like, hold on. Like, she don't get this. Like, that's not right. With a living will, a living trust, it is what it is, and it's really not disputed. So you all look at the article that I put in the link. Um, it says assets placed in a living trust avoid probate. Well, where with a will, you go through probate, where they're just kind of picking apart what to do with your assets and your money. Um, let me see. It's a lot to read here, y'all. But you all look at the article. I'm on getdynasty.com. So you all look at that. But look into getting a living trust and making your needs known, and making those solid. We need to think about those things at all times. Nobody's promised tomorrow. So if something happened to you right now, what would happen to all your belongings, your home, everything? Being proactive is important. You said something really important, Edith. A lot of people, as far as planning and downsizing and things like that. Again, a lot of people don't see themselves moving out of their home and needing those resources. So we have to think about just being real about things. What does that look like, having to do that? So yeah, it's tricky, but we have to have those conversations. It's never fun, but you should always be updating your wills, your wishes. You should always be updating those things as necessary, making sure that things are in place. It's sad when we see people fighting over things. Now mom's got to move into this facility. I want mom's, dresser. I want mom's this and that. It's crazy the way we think in the society right now. We got to do better. So, yeah, Queen.
You touched on the differences between the living will and the living trust. So what you said was living will can be contested, but living trust is final. Nobody can question it. It is the owner's prerogative. So it stands as it is. Well, I don't think many people know that yet, because now I've seen also that people have family trust. Family trust, the Edith and Angelina so and so trust. So I think it also has implications on taxes as well. There are tax implications when it comes to just the will and the trust. I don't know the details. I don't know all the details. I'm not going to go into something I do not know, but I do know that there's a benefit to leaving a trust when it comes to tax obligations, as opposed to leaving a will into in the name of Angelina or in the name of whoever you want to leave things with. And yeah, and whilst you're on the issue of trust, and I'm not saying, but if you have a home you want to will to pick Homecare, Zoe group homes, we are open to receiving it, because we are looking for a place to begin a group home for the developmentally challenged. It's called Zoe. So yeah, I put it out there. I didn't plan to, but we're talking about, we'll use it for a good cause. Yes, and maybe one family of member of yours can get the 50% free. So, or discounted 50%. Who knows? I don't know where all of this is going, but so that's important. That's a tip right there. Let's talk about.
And I think like with if I'm not mistaken, I think with the trust, if I'm not mistaken, you also, I'm not on camera, I'm moving around, sorry. But on with the trust, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm going to do my research, I don't want to misguide you all, but if I'm not mistaken, like say for instance, like my parent had a debt or whatever, somebody passes away, grandparent passes away, and they have debt. Okay, so with the will, if I'm not mistaken, if I leave my home to my children in a trust and I owe something, you can't, the government, nobody can touch that. You can't take that and use that for, payment, for back payment after somebody is gone. Like, you just can't touch that. Where with the will, if I'm not mistaken, again, it can be contested where, somebody could say, well, Angelina passed away and she had this will, but, she owes property taxes and, she gave the home to her children, but because she owes property taxes, we're going to take the home. Kind of, maybe the tax thing is not the right example because they don't mess with property taxes. They will take your stuff. But, you can't contest those things. Nobody can touch that. So you all really think about that, so.
And it's not too early. It's not too early to think about doing these things. It's never too early, because life is not promised. We're sitting here today. The next 1 hour, who knows what might happen? God forbid. But that's just the way it is. I want to explore what Black Love is saying. She says since that pandemic thingy, a lot of stuff is harder to discuss. I'd like to know an example of things that are hard to discuss, Black Love, if you don't mind. Things like what? Because we want to be able to talk about the difficult stuff. We want to bring it on here and talk about it because it's needed. It's needed. So now we're talking about all this. And so we want to consider what things can we put in place now for our tomorrow. What things can we put in place now? Many of us don't have any plans.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have money put away because life is getting so difficult. People who have money are digging into their finances. People are chopping their IRAs and 401ks and all the other things that people are borrowing so much from it. Cost of living is so much higher. Income. I saw a cartoon where electricity is growing. Everything is growing except finances or salary or income. So income is this, and everybody is growing taller, and income remains short. So our income is not matching up to the cost of living. How do we save money? What are some of the things we need to do? I think I'd like to explore this topic for next time. What are some of the things we can do to ensure that we have a little bit extra for that rainy day? Because you know what? There are times when something might happen, you can't go to work for a month or 2 months. What happens to mortgage? Do you have enough to be able to pay mortgage, to be able to pay rent? Car note,
Mm-hmm.
do you have any? Electric bill, God, do you have enough for just regular everyday living? Your electric, your water, your gas, your groceries, your accommodations. Can you keep it? If you don't work for 3 months, do you have what it takes to keep it?
Mm-hmm.
That's a survey I like to have and see what,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't
So
think.
Black Love said one thing we discussed is getting cremated as opposed to buried, right? That is a big deal. Let you all in something, okay? Um, we all gonna turn back to dust. There's a lot of money to bury someone. I wonder what happens. Like, say with us, so here in Indianapolis, we have Crown Hill Cemetery. Okay. So what happens if I buy a plot right now for me and my family? I pay for those services. I wonder what happens 20, 30, 40 years from now. What happens if they're not in business anymore? What happens to my money? What happens if I don't know, a whole lot of things. Is it secure? It's really tricky. What happens with inflation rates? So if I'm paying $10,000 right now for end of life services and I die 40 years from now, is it going to be an increase where I have to pay that extra? It's so many questions we need to think about. With cremation, it is so much less expensive. $10,000 for a casket. Have y'all ever thought about that? Flowers, $500 for flowers. I don't understand. It's crazy. We got to think better. We have to plan ahead, and people don't like. That's a good thing, Black Love. People don't like to talk about these things. It's so taboo. I'm not going to bury my mom. I'm not going to cremate my mom. I'm not going to say why. And that's okay. That's okay. But why? Why are you spending all this money? You're gone. You can spend that money. You can put that money toward family. We have to think better. Queen Essie said, I'm moving from 3 bedrooms to 2 bedrooms to save extra. Good idea. If you don't need the space, let me see. Have seen so many videos of people living out of their cars lately, young people and some older people. But that's something to do with cost of. Yeah. Do you all know that here in America, most of the homeless people that we see are 55 and above? Our seniors are living on the streets, people. Our seniors. There's something wrong with that. And a lot of that is because it's just too hard to make it. You know, you go to work all the time, you pay just to pay bills, and now they increase the retirement age again. We're gonna be 80 before we retire.
Let me share this with you. Indiana. When you are late one day on your rent, immediately you incur a $75 cost. I don't know if it goes across, especially if you live in an apartment. Immediately. So by the 6th of the month, you have $75 plus whatever you owe in rent. Every single day until the day you pay up, they charge you $5 every single day. So let's just say that you're not able to pay your bill for until the 20th. You already have $100 plus the 75 plus, and then on the 15th at the latest, they take you to court. So when they take you to court, the court fees is approximately $420. So let's just say your rent is $1,500, okay? You couldn't pay. Immediately you earn $75, okay? That is $1,575. Let's just say 20 days, you can't pay out to the 20th. You owe another $100, by which time they would have charged the court fee of $420. So a $1,500 bill is now 7 plus 2, 9. 5 plus 1, 6, 0. You already owe $2,000 instead of $1,500. So they make it harder and harder and harder for you to pay. So you take all this money, give it to an apartment complex, and what do you get? Even when you call maintenance, they're not servicing the apartment like they should. Why spend all this money on an apartment?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's crazy and crazy. So I'm not surprised that many people are living out of their cars. They're saving at least themselves anything between 800 and whatever thousands of dollars. They're saving it. They'd rather they can go to, some place and take a shower. This is crazy. So what are we doing? If this trend continues to go up, what is it going to be like when you retire? Well, whatever you have saved, be able to take care of it till the day you die. If you have to live in an assisted living or long-term, some kind of facility, how long will you live there? So if you have a little house and it's a one-level house and you can manage it, and it's not so much, and it's your own, at least at some point you can rent a 1-bedroom. You can, we need to think into our future.
Absolutely.
Even for the now, it's really foolish for all of us. And I'm included in this decision.
As am I. Absolutely. Yeah. So some stuff to think about. So we definitely have to have a conversation. Go ahead, Queen.
Black Love, read what she just wrote.
Says we don't have a lot of people passing away in our family, and I appreciate that. But my dad and mom and an uncle have been cremated since my grandmother passed. And you know what? If you think about it, she said something else too. She said, where'd it go?
We are living longer.
Yeah. She said something about 3 great. Where did it go? Oh, here it is. We decided that because no one goes to the grave, we have 3 people buried in one plot. Do you all realize that? So you're paying all this money for a cemetery plot, but how if the grave sites are this far apart, each one, how could you possibly fit all these people in this little space? You ever think about that? They're recycling these plots.
Oh,
There's no
absolutely.
way. There's no way.
Absolutely.
Did you also know that you can actually, when we're talking about buying land and buying homes, you can actually buy land for cemetery plots, and they're not regulated the same. So if I wanted to buy a piece of land and have that for my family to bury my family, I'm allowed to do that. So some other things to think about. I joked with my mother about this. I said to my mother, I said, I'm gonna buy a casket. My dad has space in his house. I said, I'm gonna buy a casket, a nice casket, one casket. Every time somebody dies, you can use this casket. Go ahead and do your little viewing, and then after that, we're gonna go ahead and cremate you and put this casket back for next time for somebody else.
Okay. So it's almost like you're reading my mind, because that's what the Muslim community does, though. The Muslims have one casket, and girl, it's not even pretty. I'm not joking. They put you there, they do the viewing if they want to, and then they wrap you and put you in the grave without the box.
Mm-hmm.
They put you in the grave without the box. So there's one box for a whole community. Let's just say we all live in Indianapolis. One box.
Yeah. I mean, it just makes sense. You got to pay to come into this world. You got to pay. It's so expensive to be born and to die. It's crazy. It's really crazy. So I would say with planning ahead, budget. You can go on Microsoft Word and get you a form for budgeting. Okay, and I'm gonna have a class on this.
What's the name of the software?
Microsoft Word.
Oh, Microsoft Word.
Yeah, if you go like the templates, if you look at a template like budget, type in budgeting, and they'll have so many templates, breaking it down from just basic things to everything you spend stuff on, going out to eat, buying shoes, just anything you think of. And it keeps you on track and it makes you accountable. And that's what it's going to require. It's going to require us to be accountable, and be diligent. We can't assume that somebody's going to take care of us, and do the right thing by us. So
I love what this young lady, I don't know her queen, but I'm watching a lot of off-grid living, as well as people making houses from sheds.
mm-hmm.
We got to figure
That's
it.
awesome. Every time I watch those, I be wanting to be out there building a house. I think I can. Kevin be like, "You crazy chick!" Like my husband thinks, but you can. People do it all the time for fun. If you all look at the situation, we're almost done, you all. But if you look at the situation with Texas was out of electricity for weeks, and because of a storm. It didn't happen here in Indiana, but we don't think about that. Like we don't have generators. We're talking about having extra money. Do you have food saved? If you have a loved one, do you have food saved? We have loved ones that are on oxygen. What happens if you can't get that oxygen? I was at a facility a couple of weeks ago after a storm. They had no electricity. I'm like, this is a senior community. How don't you have a generator, a backup generator? It blew my mind. And this was a Jewish community center, a community living. Blew my mind. But she had oxygen, like she was freaking out. She was okay breathing, but it was a panic for her. It was a stress factor for her because she was without. And we don't realize how detrimental things are until we don't have. We spend all this money, waste all this money, and it's cool. But once you don't have it, we're in a tizzy. And it's crazy. Yeah, Queen, we definitely need generators. Period. I've looked on YouTube. You can actually make your own generators out of car batteries. Look it up. I'm just saying, there's ways around things. Queen Kathy will talk to you about growing your own food indoors. Queen Kathy grows food indoors, produce food. Think about that. You can't, and I've always thought you can't eat it all. So what would you do? I don't know how to can and freeze. We should learn those things. But why not do a farmer's market and help our seniors that need food? Think about that. Meals on Wheels. I don't know what they provide. I don't know how healthy it is. but I don't think there's enough healthy foods out here for our seniors. We got cancer running rampant. Do you know the number one? Number two causes, top causes with cancer. First of all, is stress. Stress breeds ill cells, cancer, sugar, putting sugar in your body, diabetes and all that stuff. Sugar is an awesome cancer agent. It helps breed those cancer cells. Grow your own food. I'm just saying. What else, Queen? What you got? We're almost out of time. What you got?
This is an excellent idea, Queen Kathy B. I got to find out how you do it. I went to a friend. I was in a friend's house. I think you know her, Courage, and she was cooking, and I saw her leave the egg shells. I said, "What do you do?" She said, "I put it in my garden." I said, "Oh, I have a garden. I don't put eggshells." She said, "Put it in your garden." So I have all these plants. I can grow produce food, right? Instead of just having just plants, I can put tomatoes and all of that stuff. So yeah, we need to figure it out. If you love gardening, it's an amazing thing, which I do. So yeah.
If you like to eat and save money, you should do it. Okay, look here.
And I love to cook. You see, so I love and I love my cooking. I eat my cooking. The more reason I don't cook because I eat it. Because I love my cooking. So yeah, why not? Why not? Trees are still surviving. We just left the city farm buying produce and healthy meat. Yeah. And I've seen that some grocery stores. It's a very popular grocery store in the state. A lot of the time when I bought, normally I'll get ground beef because I like to make pasta or spaghetti or something. Girl, when you put that thing down for a day or two, all the red goes. It looks like it's color. So it's better we go to the place where the butcher shop and get it. It's worth the cost. Because some of these grocery stores are coloring the food to look fresh, but it's not.
Yeah. A lot. That's what
Yes,
we do.
the taste.
Mm-hmm.
I got tired of eating chicken in America. One of the visits to Ghana, my mother made homemade chicken soup. We got the chicken from my own house, and she slaughtered it, and we made some. Girl, the taste of it, the freshness of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, too many preservatives in our food here, I think.
It is. That's why we're so sick. It's gross. It's crazy. So yeah,
I think we digressed a little bit, but we will continue next week talking about ways to preserve, ways to prepare. Little things we can do. For tomorrow, rather than go give somebody 6,000 a month. What can we do now to ensure that we are not even doing it?
Mm-hmm.
We are not going into a 6,000, because if it's 5,000, 6,000 now, how much is it going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years from now?
Yeah.
Where salary
inflation is like 3% every year is inflation.
To remain short here, and everything else is growing taller and taller.
Yeah. What a waste. And really quickly, I want to share with you guys this quick. I know I like doing little commercials. There's a book. If you look in the description, there is a book called Retirement Planning Roadmap. I found it yesterday. I'm gonna go ahead and get this book. Just simple guides to just planning out your retirement step by step. So I'm gonna play this video real quick, and we're gonna get ready to get out of here. Make sure you all like and share and subscribe. It is an unfortunate truth that the concept of retirement often comes too little and too late for a lot of us in Western civilization. That is why I want to encourage you and invite you to order the book titled The Retirement Planning Roadmap today. This is a simple 7-step guide to navigating your retirement goals with confidence while strengthening your financial security and ensuring a peace of mind in your golden years. If you have any questions, doubts, or concerns about what your retirement future looks like, this is the book to have. If you are age 40 or above, now is the time to start planning. So I invite you to scan the QR code available right now, get your copy today, and start planning for your senior golden years today. right. So yeah, grab that book. It's on Amazon. You can scan that QR code, or you can look at it in the. You can click on it in the description. Get your learn on, right? Black Love said Meals on Wheels. That's what I thought has a lot of processed food. Yeah, and it sounds like it might seem like it's off topic what we're talking about when it comes to planning, but if you think about that, the foods we eat, it's hastening, it's quickening our it's detrimental to our health. So the healthier we are, the healthier we stay, the more cautious we are about our health. It'll get us there in the long run. If we're gonna live a long life, we want to live the best life. So just think about that. Think about that. Anything else you have, Queen?
I'd say this: if you're struggling to go out for a walk by yourself, form partnerships, form groups. I'm struggling to go out for a walk all by myself. It's not so much the walk; it's just the preparation to get out of the house, because I have school work, I have work. There's just so much to do, but we have to be intentional. So find somebody, get a friend, get somebody. Even if you have to drive to them, it makes it easier. Even if they call, hey, are you ready? Let's go. It's compelling. Sometimes you don't live in the same area, but someone can live out of state, but we're walking together. We have a challenge with, okay, if you walk 10,000 steps this week, I'll give you this, a little gift. I'll buy you not food. I'll buy you maybe a T-shirt to go out walking in. Something. Let's be intentional. Let's plan it. Let's push ourselves, because you know what, things we can't get back. Our health and our time, we can't get it back. So let's make the most out of what we have now, please. This is so important. It's all help in stopping us or extending the time. How do you put it? So if you're not healthy, you're gonna go in a facility at 70. If you're doing things to keep you healthy, maybe you say 5 years. Maybe you go at 75. Maybe you won't go at all. But let's do what it takes to take care of this body, this temple. And I'm talking to myself. I know you guys out there, you're doing great, but I'm talking to myself.
Lord.
It's true. It's true.
I'm with you, though. I'm with you. So, yeah, our information is, again, here on the bottom. Please subscribe and hit that like button. If you go over to the bell, if you're looking at YouTube, go over to that bell and get your notifications, right? Make sure you keep up with us, because we have a lot of good information coming your way. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear what you think, what you want to talk about. HOAs are the devil.
Would you like to talk about relationships? Because there's a lot of relationships are stresses. How the relationships we're in are affecting us. I would like to explore that, but
let's for sure.
Okay.
What y'all think? Sound like a good topic? I think it is. So make sure you all stay tuned. Got to join in. Got to come back next Saturday, 10-ish a.m. every Saturday. And if we're not here, if ever we're not here, wherever you're listening at right now, go back and look at some old videos. Maybe you missed something. Catch up. But we're always here in spirit, right? So, yeah, we are here for you. Peak Homecare Associates with the Peak Wellness Hour. Yeah.
You also, everyone, have a beautiful day. Have a great week until we come your way next Saturday.
There we go. Peace, love, and blessings.
All right.
And there it is.
And there it is. One of my favorite things to do.
Yes, I got a funeral to go to.
I wonder what happened in the beginning. That's
I gotta
strange.
get dressed. I got a funeral. Are you
Okay,
going to
well,
Bible study?
I'm definitely going. Yeah.
Are you going to Bible study?
Yes, ma'am. What happened? It says we're live, right?